Mangwana ni mwalelepo fukenjani Krekla Svanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. Your portal into Africa's potent stories. On today's program, we track a crucial legal battle as the Pretoria High Court hears the Lungu family's appeal over the late Edgar Lungu's remains. In Mali, former Prime Minister Choguel Kokalla Maiga faces corruption charges amid an intensifying crackdown. We explore President Macron's admission of French repression during Cameroon's independence fight and a British Army inquiry into soldiers using sex workers in Kenya. Now, Arrie Hougaard delivers the South Africa report, while economic news features TotalEnergies' new South African drilling campaign and De Beers' kimberlite discovery in Angola. Watch us on DSTV 2 at 5, GOTV 25, 1up2.com and NTV Africa on YouTube, as well as Network Media Hub on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
Let's get into the top stories. The Pretoria High Court has scheduled August 15 to hear the Lungu family's application for leave to appeal against the order mandating the repatriation of Edgar Lungu's body to Zambia for a state funeral. According to a court notice, all parties must file their documents, including possible heads of argument, by 3 p.m. today. Now, in fact, that was 3 p.m. yesterday. On August 8, the Zambian government secured a legal victory, compelling the family to hand over the former president's remains following his death on June 5. However, the family's application to appeal has effectively suspended the order, meaning the body will remain in South Africa until the legal process concludes. If the appeal fails, the repatriation will proceed. If successful, the remains will stay in South Africa. The case underscores tensions between the resistance, which has already delayed arrangements. Both sides are now preparing for a decisive court session that could bring closure or prolong the dispute over the final resting place of Zambia's late leader. Former Malian Prime Minister Choguel Kokalla Maiga has been arrested, making him the latest senior political figure detained under the country's military junta. Earlier this month, Maiga was questioned over allegations of misuse of public property. On Tuesday, he was formally taken into custody and charged with corruption. Maiga served as Prime Minister from 2021 until November 2024, when he was dismissed shortly after criticizing the regime for delaying elections. He continued to publicly challenge the junta after leaving office. Another ex-Prime Minister, Moussa Mara, was arrested on August 1st for damaging the state's credibility, quote-unquote, after expressing support for the jailed critics of the military government. Mali has been under military rule since the 2020 coup, followed by another in 2021. In May this year, the junta dissolved political parties, and in June, leader General Assimi Goïta extended his rule by 5 years, despite earlier promises to restore civilian governance by March 2024. These developments reflect the tightening grip of the military, with arrests of prominent figures signaling increasing suppression of dissent in the country. Moving on. French President Emmanuel Macron has acknowledged the violence committed by France during Cameroon's fight for independence, following a joint report by Cameroonian and French historians. The report detailed France's suppression of independence movements from 1945 to 1971, revealing widespread atrocities, including the deaths of tens of thousands between 1956 and 61. In a letter to Cameroonian President Paul Biya, Macron stated that a war had taken place during which colonial authorities and the French army used repressive violence in certain regions. He cited the deaths of 4 independence leaders, including UPC party figure Ruben Nyobe. The report said France forced hundreds of thousands into intermented camps and supported brutal militias. Macron expressed readiness to promote further research and make findings accessible to academic institutions, but stopped short of offering an apology for addressing calls for reparations. The 2022 decision to investigate followed domestic pressure in Cameroon. Macron has previously acknowledged French colonial abuses in Rwanda and Senegal, positioning his administration as willing to confront France's colonial past, though questions over compensation remain unresolved. In the last of our top stories, a British Army investigation has found some soldiers at the British Army training unit in Kenya, Batuk, continue to use sex workers despite a ban introduced in 2022 to prevent sexual exploitation. The service inquiry, commissioned in October 2024 after the ITV investigation, examined conduct in the Nanyuki-based facility over more than 2 years. It identified 35 suspected cases of soldiers paying for sex since July 2022, with most occurring before mandatory training on the new rules began in November that year. 9 cases were recorded afterward, though many allegations were unproven. The Foreign Office confirmed fewer than 5 additional cases remain under investigation. The report warned that transactional sex persists at a low to moderate level and recommended stronger disciplinary measures. The Batuk base has faced a long-standing controversy, including allegations linked to the 2012 killing of a Kenyan woman, Agnes Wanjiru, claims of abuse and reports of abandoned children fathered by soldiers. The Army says it will act on the inquiry's recommendations, which include expanded training and increased monitoring to enforce compliance with the ban. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be joined by Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report. But prior to that, it's the weather. It's time for us to talk to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report. Good morning, Arrie. How are you?
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin. Nice to talk to you. Very good morning.
Good to have you on the show, Arrie. Now, in your current affairs segment, first, the national dialogue begins on Friday, but many key role players have confirmed they will not attend, and this is threatening the event's credibility. Also, the Trade and Industry Minister has announced a 5-year support program, and this is for South African export companies in particular. And lastly, in this segment, South Africa has strengthened ties with Iran following a high-level visit to Tehran. To take it away, Arrie.
Yes, Ashwin, a lot to talk about. Firstly, yes, it's the national dialogue that's got that the people talking. So you want people talking, but you want everybody to be there. So that is the challenge at the moment. It's not well represented. And so you must look behind all the reasons why it's not well represented. And it's a diverse group that's not well represented. It's lots of foundations, lots of political parties to the left and to the right. For example, the Freedom Front Plus and the MK Party and the Democratic Alliance not there. That's taking away lots of credibility in that process. Then the biggest indication that there's people are not happy with this happening now is the foundations that's not present. Those are all the leaders in the government of national unity. So there's not unity in this one. Unfortunately, it was put together quite hastily. That's one of the criticisms by President Ramaphosa on President Ramaphosa. It's going to start tomorrow. It's from the 15th to the 17th in Pretoria at UNISA at university. But some of the foundations not present, that gives you indication that people are not ready or don't want to go into this process. And the foundations, I can just name a few. It's all the major ones in South Africa: the Steve Biko Foundation, the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, the Thuli House Foundation, the Bishop Tutu Foundation, also the former President de Klerk Foundation, and also Oliver Tambo Foundation. So there's all the major foundations. They're not going to be present. So that does take away the credibility, and there's the fear why people are not there. Firstly, it's hastily done. The cost, it's going to cost around 700 million South African rand, close to R1 billion, this whole process. And the challenge is it really going to be worth it? Is there going to be credibility? Is it going to be a challenge on consensus and solutions? That's a big thing. Is it just going to be talking? Are we going to get to answers? Are we going to talk about stuff and find solutions? And that's a criticism in the past. There were lots of talks about many things, but one statement, unfortunately, by the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, gave all of these people not attending good reason not to attend. He said, quote unquote, he said the ANC will not change their political views on economy and international affairs. So he said even before they started talking, they're not going to change anything. So many say, but why bother then talking? So at the moment, what's happening tomorrow, there's people, there's groups from spiritual leaders, there's agriculture, there's business leaders, there's youth leaders, everybody talking. So there's going to be lots of opinions. So the challenge still is what are we going to do with all those statements that's going to be made. So that is in terms of the national dialogue. It's going ahead tomorrow, but not well represented. So it's a challenge for President Ramaphosa at the moment. Then also you talked about the 5 years reprieve from the government. So it's tough times for exporters. The tariffs from the USA started on last week, Friday, basically it kicked in. And so it is the Minister of Trade and Industry. He said that there will be some reprieve. It will be the following. It will be firms can jointly shoulder shipments, firstly. Secondly, they can share storage costs. They can coordinate on insurance costs, and they can collectively market goods. So that is basically what it comes down to. It's a regulatory flexibility. So the government do stand back a bit on the regulations, and hopefully that will help the exporters. So that is a big challenge at the moment. Linked to what you said, also mentioned, Ashwin, for Iran, the relationship with Iran, that will also be economically. I'll touch on another reason now, but South Africa do investigate there. There's obviously oil trade, there's agriculture, and there's motor vehicle trades, etc. that is investigated. It's not going to replace what's happening in the USA. Lots of relationships being strengthened in China in that, so we'll see how that happens. But that puts now pressure on some of the motor dealers in South Africa. BMW saying all the vehicles coming in from China and all the export challenges is making it difficult for them to survive. But just briefly on that, the National Defence Force Chief is in a bit of trouble. He went over to Iran, so intentions maybe was good. They're shaking hands with the army commander of Iran. That was in Tehran. That's Chief General South African Rudzani Mpunyana. So they made a joint statement, and that statement was they have a common goal in tightening global, or in fighting global arrogance and colonial approaches. So that is was one of the statements made, but now it is Dirko, the South African Director of International Relationships and Cooperation. They said that the Army General is not representing the South African views. It was a statement that they don't support, and the statements on international relationships needs to be made by Dirko or the President. So that's a bit of a challenge. The indication is there's meetings happening like this meeting here, South Africa and Iran They have always had a good partnership that goes back to many years ago. So we'll see how that develops. So lots happening in South Africa in current affairs at the moment. Hopefully all the talks today or start tomorrow will be good talks, and there will be something coming from that, but not well represented at the moment. That's current news at the moment, Asher.
All right, Arrie, let's swing into your sport. The Springboks face Australia in Joburg on Saturday alongside the MTN 8 soccer semi-finals. In UFC, Dricus du Plessis defends his title against Khamzat Chimaev.
Yes, in the sport there's more. There's no difference in dialogue, so there everybody's on the same page. The Springboks play again. They're the world champions, so it's always exciting. A tough challenge for them. Australia played against the British and Irish Lions. That was a series that just ended, so they'll be well prepared. They have to now play away from home. That will be in Ellis Park in Johannesburg at 5:10, the kickoff time there in Johannesburg. That's a previous game, the Springboks in action there. It will be tough, it will be competitive, but it's good to see the Springboks playing again. It is Captain Siya Kolisi that will be playing on in the 8th man position, not on flank, so that will be interesting to see. And then on the soccer field, 2 MTN 8 semi-finals that's played. That's going to be over 2 weekends. There's 2 legs of that. The big one, Orlando Pirates, so they play Mamelodi Sundowns. That's the 2 of them that's in action there. Some of the action, previous actions, Mamelodi Sundowns there on the right. And so Pirates play Sundowns in Orlando. That is 3 p.m. That is on Saturday, so a big game there. And then also it is Stellenbosch United that will play Sekhukhune. That will be played in Stellenbosch. So that is also on Saturday. And then, yes, a big fight. Dricus du Plessis, he fights against Khamzat Chimaev. So those are the 2. It's a crazy sport. It's a UFC. So it's difficult to go into that ring and keep on winning, but it's a proud champion South Africa do have in Dricus du Plessis. That is, they call it UFC 319. That is Saturday evening Chicago time, but on the television it will be broadcast roughly from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. So that is Dricus du Plessis fighting there. So all the best for him. It's a crazy sport. Hopefully somebody can just win with not too much blood around. So that is UFC 319.
We'll certainly see how Dricus does in that fight. Certainly wishing him the best. Now, Johannesburg offers special street art tours plus top restaurant experiences and wine tastings.
Yes, for all those people going to the rugby as well, there's the big rugby at Ellis Park. But before you go there, go in the morning, go on a nice tour in Johannesburg. Something that's quite unique that people embrace, and the feedback is very positive, is that it is the street art. So it is Johannesburg. It starts in the Maboneng street art area. So it's a cultural tour. It's a 2-hour tour. It's a walk tour. So it's a guides taking you through. You meet the artist as well. So it's brilliantly done, and it's special to move around in that area. It's a massive walls like that's been painted as well. You can see the people there on the tour. So you can discover the vibrant culture as well and the food of Johannesburg. And also you can go to the Hallmark House rooftop. It's a great city view. And there you can see that is a city view, brilliant with sunsets, etc. And they call it, and there's also in the Jewel City area, there's galleries. And then after you've done that, you can go cafe hopping. So you can go around in Johannesburg, enjoy some good food. And there's great restaurants, Taste of Africa, they call it. And there's also wine tasting. So brilliant wine tastings. It's boutique wines that you can go and taste the wine. So go and enjoy the art, enjoy the great wine, and enjoy the great food, and go and watch the rugby in Johannesburg. So Johannesburg, a great place to visit over the weekend. So that's our entertainment news as well from South Africa. Thanks for joining me.
In economic news, TotalEnergies SE is preparing an offshore drilling campaign in South Africa's deep Western Orange Basin, an area that extends into waters where Namibia has reported significant oil discoveries. The French energy giant plans to drill up to 7 wells of about 211 kilometers off Saldanha Bay, according to SLR Consulting, which is conducting an independent environmental assessment. A draft assessment is open for public comment until September 10. CEO Patrick Poyan said drilling could begin next year. Rival Shell also plans up to 5 wells of South Africa's Northern Cape. However, recent court rulings prompted by environmental groups have stalled several exploration projects. The renewed push follows major 2022 discoveries in Namibia, which is believed to hold 2.6 billion barrels of reserves in basins such as Orange, Luderitz, Kavango, and Walvis. Namibia could begin production by 2030. For South Africa, the campaign signals entry into one of Africa's most promising oil frontiers, though environmental opposition remains a significant obstacle to large-scale offshore exploration and potential production in the years ahead. Speaking of discoveries, De Beers has announced the discovery of a new kimberlite field in Angola, marking its first such find in the country in 3 decades. The Anglo-American unit, working in partnership with Angola's state-owned diamond company El Diama, struck kimberlite during its first drill into a high-priority target cluster in July this year. Further drilling, geophysical surveys, and laboratory analyses are planned to determine the kimberlite type and its diamond potential. Kimberlites are rare volcanic rocks that transport diamonds to the surface. De Beers returned to Angola in 2022 after a decade-long absence, signaling mineral investment contracts in April 2022, signing contracts in 2022, and agreements on processing and exploration in 2024. The find comes as Anglo-American moves to divest De Beers to focus on copper and iron ore. The diamond giant has reportedly attracted interest from at least 6 consortia, including billionaire Anil Agwal, Indian diamond companies, and Qatari funds. Those have been our economic news stories. Let's have a look at the indicators before we say goodbye. DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com. And if you go to oneup2.com and click Echo, you can watch this episode again and other NTV shows. Those are some of the platforms that you can find us, including Network Media Hub on YouTube as well as NTV Africa. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, Swela Jaganaka.